Hello travellers, Travel Dave UK here, and I have a very exciting video for you. I'm going to share with you my top favourite national parks that you can visit across Atlantic Canada. And across Atlantic Canada we have the Canadian provinces of Newfoundland and Labrador in the east, and in the Maritime we have Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. And I'm going to go through each province and tell you my favourite national park in the area. So what we're waiting for, this whole video is about my favourite national parks across Atlantic Canada. Before we get started with this video, as we are talking about national parks in Atlantic Canada, I have to highlight Parks Canada, of course, who do a fantastic job. If you are going to any of these national parks, they usually have a visitor centre full of helpful staff with useful information, with maps and possibly some updated information as well about the trails or the weather conditions or what to bring, what to pack. Just useful information. They're just so friendly and they're full of information, so do use them if they have a visitor centre. But most importantly, there may be an entrance fee or a park permit fee to the national parks that you are visiting with Parks Canada. Normally it's a ticket that you can hang up in your car that covers your parking and your access to the national parks. So just wanted to give a little recommendation to check out Parks Canada, check out their website and see if there are any visitor centres in these national parks you're visiting across Canada. And the first province I'll be talking about in Atlantic Canada is New Brunswick, and my favourite national park in New Brunswick has to be Fundy National Park. If you're heading to Fundy National Park, be sure to stay in Alma, very close to the national park, and it's also within close distance to Hopewell Rocks, which is another iconic location that you'll have to visit in New Brunswick if you're in the area. And Alma also has a Parks Canada visitor centre for Fundy National Park, so be sure to pass by, pick up your permits, your maps, talk to the friendly staff there. They're full of information on trailhead recommendations. And I've got two hiking trail recommendations for you for the Fundy National Park. Number one is the Matthews Head Trail, which is around 2 to 3 hours to hike. And the reward in the middle is a beautiful coastal view of Fundy's coast. So I highly recommend doing that. It's worth the reward. And then the second one I highly recommend, the Dickson's Fall Trail, which is a great hike. It's an easy one to do. It's well pathed out. It's very quick to do, but you get a nice reward of a waterfall. And I like it. It's very scenic and doesn't take that much effort to complete. Maybe this one's a good first introduction to the Fundy National Park. So those are my two hiking recommendations. And when you're done with the Fundy National Park, check out the Fundy Trail Parkway, which is a sensational scenic drive and a great way to see the Fundy coast. So be sure to check that out after you've done with all your hikes. It's a great way to explore New Brunswick. And now we're heading east of Atlantic Canada to Newfoundland and Labrador. And my favourite national park in Newfoundland and Labrador has to be Gros National Park. You've got the beautiful fjords there, and we opted for the cruise. So you can do a hike to a little ferry which will take you through the fjords. And there are possibilities to do the hiking trails around Gros Mountains, but you'll have to do some booking in advance, and there's a lot of research you'll have to do that. So do look into that if you're interested in doing it. It is possible, but we opted for the cruise. That was a great way to see the fjords. Also, head over to the Gros National Park Visitor Centre. Just behind the car park is a trail up the mountain there, and that will give you stunning views overlooking Gros Mourne, which is a great viewpoint. And you can see the pond from below and also the Tablelands, which I'm going to talk to you about now. Do not skip the Tablelands. The Tablelands was stunning. They call it Earth if it was naked, which is a great way of putting the Tablelands. It's just raw landscape. It took my breath away. You have to go and check that out. A really beautiful hike. Probably the most scenic hike I saw in the Gros Mourne was the Tablelands, which I enjoyed very much. But the whole of Gros Mourne should not be skipped. Fly into Deer Lake, and then from Deer Lake you can drive to Gros Mourne. I know Newfoundland is famous for its floating icebergs and whales during a certain time of the year, but do not skip out on Gros Mourne. That's my favourite national park, so go check it out in Newfoundland and Labrador. And now we're moving over to Nova Scotia in Atlantic Canada. And my favourite national park in Nova Scotia has to be Cape Breton Highlands National Park. This not only is a beautiful way to explore the island of Cape Breton, it's a stunning road trip. So it's a great way to explore the national park by driving and go around the coast. It's absolutely stunning. But you'll come along to the legendary Cabot Trail. Yes, they call it the legendary Cabot Trail. And this is a hiking trail not to be missed. This is going to give you stunning coastal views. And the hike I recommend is the Skyline Trail, because that will just give you such an amazing overview of the coast and the surrounding Cabot Trail and Cape Breton in its form. It's just a stunning experience once you finish that hike and you're standing on the viewing platform of the Skyline Trail. Wow, it's going to just take your breath away. I know I've said that a few times already, but it is a stunning hike and it is absolutely beautiful. So be sure to check out that Skyline Trail on the Cabot Trail in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Moving over to the smallest province in Atlantic Canada, Prince Edward Island. And my favourite national park in Prince Edward Island is the Prince Edward Island National Park. And I would recommend going to the Greenwich Dunes. This is a really cool hike. In just over 4 kilometres, the trail will take you over these bogs, these ponds. They've got floating pontoons, as well as hiking, very well mapped out hiking trail, which will take you to the sandy dunes and the sea, the coast, where you can dip your feet in after a nice hike. The hike itself is not that bad. I recommend starting from the Greenwich Interpretation Centre, which is full of information run by Parks Canada, where you get loads of information about the hikes and maps, as well as education about the local area. It's a really cool centre, so do check out the Interpretation Centre and then head on over to the dunes and check out that beautiful dune coast sandy beaches. And that brings us to the end of this video. Wow, I can't believe I've only shared my favourite national park in each Canadian province in Atlantic Canada. Just the best one. Every province has so much more to offer, and I only offered the best national park in each province. It just goes to show how incredible Atlantic Canada is. From the Maritime to the east, there's so much to see and explore, and to get out there into the nature and hike these amazing Atlantic Canada trails. They're out there to explore amongst the national parks. So I hope you found this video useful towards your trip planning to Atlantic Canada. You've got Newfoundland and Labrador, you've got Prince Edward Island, you've got Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. There's so much to explore across Atlantic Canada, so be sure to check out those national parks, bookmark them, plan them and make them happen. You will not be disappointed by how incredible the landscapes are in Atlantic Canada. It's not just seafood. They have that as well. There is sensational hiking, so do not miss out. And I hope you found this video useful and these highlights useful, and go hiking and explore Atlantic Canada.